Scene, the first day of classes, the football field at Shermer High School. The students are gathered, seated on the bleachers of the football field, a murmur of nervous chatter buzzing through the air. Among the crowd are Claire Standish, Allison Reynolds, Jeannie Bueller, and Sloan Peterson, all of them noticeably anxious and uneasy. They're still trying to come to terms with the shock of seeing their gym uniforms and the surprising announcement that something big is about to happen. Principal and head gym coach Jessie Wilson steps up to the microphone. She's as tough and no-nonsense as ever. Her lean frame, intense eyes, and athletic stance demand attention. She's dressed in a whistle-laden tracksuit and exudes confidence and authority. Beside her stands Superintendent Joan Hughes, the towering, crass woman whose steely gaze scans the crowd like a hawk. The murmur dies down as Jessie clears her throat, her voice crisp and cutting through the crowd. Coach Jessie Wilson. Good morning, Shermer High School. I'm Coach Wilson, your new principal and head gym coach. I know you're all probably wondering what this assembly is about, and trust me, I'm about to tell you. But first, let me tell you a little story. The class of 1986, the seniors who walked out of here last June, were an embarrassment to this school. They were out of shape, lazy, and frankly, they made the rest of us look bad. And I'm not going to stand for that. Why did this happen? Simple. We let it happen. The junior and senior exemptions from daily physical education were a mistake that left us with a graduating class that couldn't run a mile without collapsing. This year, we're not making that mistake again. The students shift uneasily in their seats. Some exchange worried glances, while others gulp at what might be coming. Coach Wilson continuing, "That's why I'm here. I was hired to bring this school back into shape, and I'm not talking about just throwing a ball around or playing a couple of games. I'm talking about serious fitness training, the kind that's going to build you up, toughen you up, and get you ready for the real world. So here's the new rule. Daily physical education is back. Every single one of you, juniors and seniors included, will be doing 90 minutes of intense fitness training every single day. No more exemptions, no more getting out of it. For seniors who were exempt last year, guess what? You've retroactively failed PE, which means you're doubling up this year. That's right, 3 hours of daily PE and you'll have to make up for lost time. You can thank last year's seniors for that." Gasps and groans ripple through the students as the news hits them like a ton of bricks. Claire and Allison look horrified, while Jeannie and Sloan stare in disbelief. Coach Wilson unrelenting. The first 2 weeks of this school year will be dedicated entirely to PE. No other classes. We're going to work on your fitness levels, your strength, and your endurance. And no one, absolutely no one, is exempt. I don't care if you're the valedictorian, the head cheerleader, or the football team's star player. Everyone is in the gym for the next 2 weeks. Oh, and before you get any ideas about trying to get out of this, let me remind you of something. You all saw those new gym uniforms waiting for you. I know some of you were hoping you could skip out on those. Well, tough luck. You're all getting changed into them right now. Some of the students cringe at the mention of the gym uniforms, which they've already caught a glimpse of. A yellow tank top and blue stretch knit shorts with Shermer Phys Adept printed on them. Many know how unforgiving those uniforms are, and they can already feel the judgment in the air. Coach Wilson, barking orders. "All right, everyone up on your feet. We're heading to the locker rooms. Get those uniforms on, and I want you back out here in 5 minutes. Move it. And don't dawdle. You're not getting away with any excuses today. You're in my world now." The students scramble to their feet, the dread sinking in as they realize they have no choice. Claire and Allison exchange a nervous glance as they start toward the locker room, Claire muttering under her breath, "This is going to be a nightmare." Jeannie and Sloan follow, bracing themselves for what's to come. The camera lingers on the field as the students shuffle toward the locker rooms, dread hanging in the air like a storm cloud. The last shot is of Coach Wilson and Superintendent Hughes, both standing with arms crossed, looking like they're ready to whip this school into shape whether the students like it or not. Coach Wilson, yelling as the students walk off. "And don't think you can slack off in there, get those uniforms on fast. We're on a schedule here, people. You've got a workout coming, and it's going to be a wake-up call you'll never forget." Scene: the football field at Shermer High School, first day of classes, 1986. The camera slowly pans over the football field, where hundreds of Shermer High students stand nervously in their freshly issued gym uniforms. The yellow tank tops and blue stretch knit shorts cling tightly to their bodies, leaving them exposed and uncomfortable. Some students fidget anxiously, tugging at the hems of their shorts, while others try to hide their self-consciousness by focusing straight ahead. All around, there's a mix of dread, embarrassment, and a reluctant acceptance that this is really happening. Principal and head gym coach Jessie Wilson stands front and center with a whistle in hand, her presence commanding the attention of every student on the field. She's a picture of athletic discipline, sharp eyes, toned muscles, and absolutely no patience for nonsense. With Superintendent Joan Hughes watching like a hawk from the sidelines, Coach Wilson's gaze sweeps across the sea of students, taking in every nervous glance and every slouching posture. She is ready to make her mark, and she's not going to pull any punches. Coach Wilson, booming voice. All right, listen up. I see some of you already feeling sorry for yourselves, tugging at your shorts, wishing you could be anywhere else right now. Well, let me tell you something. You can wish all you want, but you're here, and you're not going anywhere until I say so. Look at the person next to you, behind you, in front of you. Whether you like it or not, you're all in this together. And the only way you're going to get through this is by giving everything you've got, and then some. I don't want to see any half-hearted attempts, no slackers, no fakers, and absolutely no backtalk. You don't like it? Tough. You'll like it even less when you're dragging yourself through makeup exercises later. Because let me be clear, every single incomplete push-up, improperly done jumping jack, or sloppily executed burpee will have to be made up with interest. And if you think I'm not watching, think again. I've got eyes everywhere, and I'll know exactly who's falling behind. The students exchange worried glances, realizing there's no way out of this. Some nervously shift their feet, others are already sweating before the workout has even begun. The tension is thick, and Coach Wilson isn't about to let it fade. Coach Wilson, cracking a wry smile. This workout isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to challenge you, push you, break you down, and build you back stronger. You're going to hurt, you're going to want to quit, but quitting isn't an option. You have a duty to yourselves, to this class, and to this school to give everything you've got. This is a team effort, people. No one falls behind. No one gets a free pass. You don't get to stop at 20 push-ups if I assigned 50. You don't get to do 50 jumping jacks if I said 100. And when the going gets tough, guess what? That's when I'm going to push you even harder. She blows the whistle sharply. The students jump to attention. Coach Wilson, barking orders. Now get ready. We're starting with jumping jacks, 100 of them. And I better not see anyone slowing down or stopping. Move it. The students launch into jumping jacks. The field is filled with the sound of slapping feet and synchronized claps. But it doesn't take long for fatigue to set in for some. A few students start to lag behind, their movements losing precision. Coach Wilson zeroes in on them immediately. Coach Wilson, sprinting toward a group of slackers. Hey, you think I can't see you? That's pathetic. If you can't handle 100 jumping jacks, you're in for a rough year. Pick up the pace, now. The students, startled and panicked, force themselves to push harder. Beads of sweat already dripping down their faces. Some students grimace as they struggle to keep up, but Coach Wilson doesn't let up. Coach Wilson, shouting, All right, push-ups next. Drop down, let's go. 50 of them, and don't even think about cheating. Elbows tight, back straight, chest down to the ground, every single time. The students drop to the ground and begin the push-ups, but it's clear that many are struggling. A few collapse after only 10 or 15, their arms shaking uncontrollably. Coach Wilson, marching between rows of students. Come on, don't you dare quit. If you can't do 50 now, you'll be doing 75 later. And don't even think about faking it. I'm watching every rep. You think this is tough? This is just the warm-up. You're going to need to dig deep if you want to make it through this year. Keep going. She stops near a group of exhausted students who are barely getting through the push-ups. She crouches down to their level, her voice lowering but no less fierce. Sir Coach Wilson, menacingly, let me remind you this isn't a game. I'm not asking you to be good at this. I'm demanding it. You don't get to fall behind your team. If you think this is too much, then you better get in here before school, after school, on weekends, whatever it takes. Because I won't accept anything less than 100%. And if you don't like that, you can get used to spending your afternoons doing penalty burpees. As the students push themselves to their limits, their faces show the strain, but they know there's no escape. The first day has just begun, and it's already a grueling test of their endurance and willpower. Coach Wilson, grinning. All right, get up, burpees, 50 of them. And don't give me any half-hearted hops at the top. I want you jumping like your life depends on it. The harder you push now, the easier it'll get down the road. Let's see what you're made of. The students, panting and red-faced, force themselves to comply. Coach Wilson continues her relentless march up and down the field, offering no sympathy, only pushing them harder and harder. The scene closes with exhausted students struggling to keep up while Coach Wilson's voice echoes over the field, a mix of commands, motivation, and unyielding discipline. This is just day one, and it's clear that Shermer High is never going to be the same. Coach Jessie Wilson, standing at the front of the gym with her arms crossed, eyes stern as she addresses the students. The room is silent, tension hanging in the air as everyone's still catching their breath from the last brutal workout. Coach Wilson. Let's get one thing straight right now. The 2-mile run is non-negotiable. It's not a suggestion, it's not a favor, and it's certainly not something you can just half-ass your way through. This is your duty every single day. 2 miles in 20 minutes or less. That's what I'm expecting from you, and I won't be accepting excuses. I don't care if it's hot, I don't care if you're tired, and I definitely don't care if you think it's too hard. Guess what? It is supposed to be hard. That's the point. She takes a step forward, eyes narrowing. 20 minutes. You've got 20 minutes to run 2 miles. Not 21, not 25, not however long you think it should take. You fail to hit that time, you'll be right back out there, making it up. You think I'm joking? Try me. I'll have you running those miles until you hit the mark, or you'll be here before school, after school, on weekends, and you'll be running until you can do it in your sleep. This isn't a suggestion. It's your job, your duty. She paces back and forth. This isn't just about running. This is about discipline. It's about mental toughness. It's about proving that you can push yourself even when everything in your body is telling you to quit. You have a team depending on you. And yes, you are part of that team. If one of you decides to slack off, that hurts everyone. So you'd better believe that I expect you to push yourselves to the limit. I'm not interested in hearing I can't. I'm not interested in seeing anyone drop out halfway. I want to see every single one of you crossing that finish line in under 20 minutes, period. Coach Wilson's voice hardens. And if that means you've got to put in extra work to get there, so be it. You need to come in early and hit the track. Do it. You need to stay late and work on your endurance. Do it. I'll be here to push you harder, but the responsibility is yours. I'm not going to drag you kicking and screaming. You either rise to the challenge or you don't. But know this, if you fail, that failure's on you. Not the clock, not your shoes, not the weather you. She pauses, letting her words sink in. Every single day, this is your duty. 2 miles, 20 minutes, no excuses, no complaints. Get it done, or get ready to do it again. Because at Shermer High, we don't tolerate quitting. We don't tolerate mediocrity. We push through, we sweat through it, and we finish stronger than we started. Her gaze sweeps across the room, locking eyes with a few students who look particularly nervous. Now get ready to run. The students reluctantly line up, knowing they'll be pushed to their absolute limits, but understanding there's no way out. Coach Wilson isn't letting up until every last student meets the standard. Ein locker room after the run. The locker room is a mix of chaos and exhaustion as students limp in after the grueling 2-mile run. The echo of slamming locker doors and ragged breathing fills the air. Claire, Allison, Jeannie, and Sloane stagger in together. Drenched in sweat, faces flushed, their legs barely able to carry them to their lockers. They collapse onto the benches, their gym uniforms clinging to them, drenched in sweat. They're all panting heavily, trying to catch their breath. Claire is the first to attempt speaking, though it's barely more than a wheeze.
I don't think I'm gonna make it.
She doubles over, hands on her knees, trying to get oxygen into her burning lungs. Allison, between wheezes, wiping sweat from her brow.
Every day, they can't be serious.
She struggles to yank her soaked gym shirt over her head, but it clings stubbornly to her body. Jeannie slumps next to her, still dripping sweat and staring up at the ceiling as if willing herself not to pass out. Jeannie in ragged bursts. This can't be legal. There's no way. We're gonna survive. Sloane manages to peel off her shoes, her legs trembling so much she can hardly stay upright. She stares at the others, still panting like she just ran a marathon. Sloane with difficulty.
I'm done. After just this, and they said it's only the start.
The girls share a collective look of dread as they imagine having to do this every day. They all lean back against the lockers, their chests rising and falling rapidly as they try to regain some composure. Claire with a groan.
My legs are shallow. We've got what? 4 more classes today? I'm gonna need a stretcher.
Allison, grimacing, her voice raspy.
Forget classes. I'm not sure I can even stand up again.
She finally manages to pull her gym shirt off and throws it into her locker with a mixture of disgust and frustration. Jeannie, with a bitter laugh between breaths. And this isn't even the worst of it. Coach Wilson said, we've got weight training tomorrow. The mention of weight training causes all the girls to exchange horrified looks. Sloane, barely managing a sarcastic grin.
So, we're gonna be sore on top of sore. Great.
Claire reaches into her locker for her clothes, but her arms are shaking so much she struggles to even hold them. The weight of what they've gotten themselves into seems to sink in all at once. Claire, defeated, still panting.
There's no way we can keep this up every day for a whole year.
Allison, nodding weakly, trying to steady her breathing.
I thought I'd be exhausted. But this is next level. How are we gonna handle all the classes after this?
Jeannie tries to force her legs to move, but they feel like lead. She finally manages to change into her regular clothes, though each movement seems like it takes all her remaining energy. Jeannie, shaking her head, barely catching her breath. We don't have a choice. We've got to keep up or get left behind. And if we fall behind, Coach Wilson will make us pay. The reality of their situation hits them like a ton of bricks. The exhaustion is one thing, but knowing they have to push through it every single day is overwhelming. Florence breathing hard, her voice almost pleading.
How are we? Supposed to. Make it through. The year like this? I can barely walk now.
Claire, voice cracking, still catching her breath.
It's like she wants us to suffer.
Allison leans back against the locker, closing her eyes for a moment. Her breath is still labored, but she opens her eyes with a hint of resolve. Allison, managing to get her words out between gasps.
We've got no choice. It's either keep up or end up even more behind. We can't let her break us.
The girls share a tired but determined glance. They know they're in for the toughest year of their lives, but they also know they can't give up. Not yet. Claire, sighing, still panting.
Yes. We better get ready. If today's just the start, we need every bit of strength we've got.
They all slowly start to gather their belongings, wincing and groaning with every movement. Despite the fear and the pain, there's a silent understanding between them. They're in this together, no matter what it takes. As they finish getting dressed, they shuffle toward the door, knowing full well they'll be back in this locker room tomorrow, just as sore, just as exhausted, and with no escape in sight. Scene ends with the girls dragging themselves out of the locker room, still breathing heavily, their footsteps heavy as they brace themselves for the next challenge in a long, grueling year. The locker room is filled with heavy breathing, the sound of exhausted girls trying to catch their breath as they peel off their sweat-soaked uniforms. Claire, Allison, Jeannie, and Sloane slump against the lockers, feeling every ache in their bodies after the grueling 2-mile run. They're dripping with sweat, their faces flushed and tired. The girls barely get a moment to complain about their sore muscles when the locker room door slams open, and in strides Coach Wilson, looking like a force of nature, her face stern, her eyes sharp. Coach Wilson, glaring at each of them. What the hell was that out there? I told you what the standard is, 20 minutes or less. But what did I get from you for? 25 minutes? 27? Almost 30? Completely unacceptable. The girls flinch, caught in the humiliating mix of being berated while half-dressed and drenched in sweat. They scramble to cover themselves with towels or finish changing into their clothes, but Coach Wilson's unrelenting glare follows them. Coach Wilson, voice rising, I don't care that you've got summer weight on you. I care that you're not putting in the effort to fix it. You've all let yourselves go. I've heard all the excuses already. We didn't think we'd have gym anymore. We didn't know it'd be this hard. Spare me. You're not getting a free pass just because you spent the summer lounging around, eating junk, and getting out of shape. You think life's going to cut you slack because you weren't prepared? Absolutely not. Claire struggles to button her pants while still trying to breathe. Jeannie wipes sweat from her brow and tries to tug on her shirt without making eye contact. The discomfort is written all over their faces as they stand there, embarrassed, hoping the lecture ends soon. Coach Wilson, pointing at them, you think I'm just being hard on you for fun? You think this is about making you feel bad? This is about getting you into shape so you can handle what's expected of you, day in and day out. I saw the way you dragged yourselves around that track today, pathetic, huffing and puffing like you'd never run a lap in your life. I'm not letting that slide. You're all going to get back out there tomorrow and every single day after that until you meet the standard, and believe me, we're not leaving that track until you do. Allison, for barely managing to speak between breaths. Coach, we tried, we really did. Coach Wilson, cutting her off. Try harder. Trying doesn't count for anything if you don't meet the goal, and if you're still waddling around at 25 minutes next week, you'll be doing extra laps until you can keep up with the rest of the team. I don't care if it's uncomfortable, I don't care if you're tired, I'm not interested in excuses. I'm interested in results. The girls look defeated, their faces downcast as they struggle to pull their shirts over their flushed, sweaty bodies. It's bad enough they're exhausted, sore, and embarrassed. They now have to endure this dressing down while still half-dressed themselves. Coach Wilson, with a steely tone, "Let me be crystal clear, what I saw today was unacceptable and it's not happening again. You're going to start taking this seriously, or you'll be in here twice as long, doing makeup runs until you can get under 20 minutes. And don't think you can just coast along hoping I'll let it slide. I'll be watching every step you take, and I'll be pushing you to hit that goal whether you like it or not." She takes a step back, surveying the miserable faces of the girls who are still trying to finish changing. Coach Wilson, "You've got one choice: shape up or get ready to pay the price. Tomorrow I expect to see more effort, more discipline, and a hell of a lot less whining. Now hurry up and get dressed. You've got the rest of the day to figure out how to improve, because when I see you tomorrow, I better see progress." With that, she turns sharply and exits the locker room, leaving the girls staring at each other in shock, frustration, and a bit of dread for what's to come. They finish getting dressed in silence, knowing that the path ahead is going to be long, tough, and anything but forgiving. The locker room is filled with the sounds of tired sighs, lockers slamming, and sneakers squeaking on the tile floor. Jeannie, Claire, Allison, and Sloane are changing out of their sweat-soaked gym uniforms after another brutal workout with Coach Wilson. The girls gather near their lockers, still catching their breath, visibly exhausted. Jeannie throwing her towel into her locker, frustrated. "I'm seriously fuming. It's not fair that we have to pay for what last year's seniors did or didn't do. They were the ones who got to skip gym for 2 years, and now we're stuck with these insane requirements. Failing us for a year we didn't even take. And now this 90-minute PE class every day doubled to 3 whole hours because we're seniors. It's like we're being forced to redo gym for the last 2 years on top of everything else." Claire nodding in agreement.
Yeah, I get it. It's like they're making up for lost time by cramming it all in at once. We're already out of shape, and now they're expecting us to survive these boot camp workouts. It feels impossible.
Sloane sighs, tying up her hair.
I get what you're saying, Jeannie. But if we're being real, we kind of did this to ourselves. We spent the whole summer lounging around, not doing much of anything. Of course, it's hitting us hard now.
Allison, matter-of-factly,
Exactly. I'm not saying I like it, but honestly, we need this. We're in terrible shape, and it's not Coach Wilson's fault that we let things slide. Whether we like it or not, this is what we need to get back in shape.
Jeannie huffing, still irritated. "Okay, but come on. 3 hours of gym, when we've got other classes and a million other things to worry about, and Coach Wilson doesn't just expect us to show up, she's demanding we actually pass these crazy fitness tests, or else we're stuck here even longer." Claire shrugs.
Yeah, it's rough. But honestly, maybe it's good that she's pushing us this hard. I mean, if we're going to do it, we might as well get something out of it. No one likes feeling this out of shape.
Sloane reluctantly.
I hate to say it, but you're both right. It's kind of embarrassing being this winded just from running laps. We definitely need the exercise, even if it's torture right now.
Jeannie grumbling. "I get it, okay? I know we're not exactly in peak condition, but that doesn't make it any less frustrating. I'm just tired of being blamed for something we didn't even do, and now we're paying for it with Coach Wilson breathing down our necks." Allison, calmly.
Well, we've got 2 choices. Either complain about it, or suck it up and push ourselves to actually get through it. We're all in the same boat, so we might as well try to get better at this. Who knows? Maybe by the end of the year, we'll actually be in decent shape.
Claire cracking a small smile.
And who knows, maybe we'll actually get used to it, or at least survive it without collapsing.
Jeannie, half smiling despite herself. "I'll believe it when I see it." The girls share a resigned but determined look as they finish getting changed. Even though they're dreading what's ahead, they know they've got no choice but to push through. And maybe, just maybe, they'll come out stronger for it. The gymnasium is packed with restless students, the tension in the room thick as everyone waits for Coach Wilson to start. It's been a grueling few weeks since the daily workouts began, and while the students have grown a bit accustomed to the punishing regimen, they're struggling with another issue, the unavoidable stink that's followed them back to class. Many are still dripping in sweat from the morning's brutal fitness session, and a sour odor lingers in the air. Coach Wilson, looking stern as ever, strides to the front of the gym and grabs the microphone. Coach Wilson, voice firm, cutting through the murmurs. All right, listen up. We've got a serious problem, and it's time we address it head on. I know you're all giving it your all out there in these workouts. I can see that, and I respect it. But there's something I don't respect. And that's the fact that so many of you are marching straight out of the locker rooms and into your classes without even glancing at those showers. There are a few embarrassed glances between students, a couple of awkward coughs. The stink in the room is undeniable. Coach Wilson, leaning into the mic. Don't kid yourselves. Everyone notices it. Your classmates notice it. Your teachers notice it. I sure as hell notice it. The bottom line is, you stink. I'm not here to sugarcoat things. You're all sweating buckets during these workouts, which is exactly what I want. There's no shortcut to fitness without some serious sweat. But this gym is equipped with perfectly good showers for a reason. The problem is, too many of you are skipping them, and it's starting to affect everyone around you. A few students shift uncomfortably in their seats, some turning red, while others try to hide knowing smirks. Coach Wilson. Look, I get it. No one's excited about stripping down and hitting the showers in the middle of a busy school day. Maybe you're in a rush, maybe you're self-conscious, or maybe you just don't care. But that's not an excuse to walk around campus smelling like you just crawled out of a locker yourself. You're sweaty, sticky, and reeking of that workout grind. And that's not okay. Coach Wilson's eyes scan the crowd, locking in on a few guilty faces. Coach Wilson. Now here's how this is going to go. I'm giving you a chance to do the right thing on your own. After every workout, you need to hit those showers, soap, water, the works. It's basic hygiene, people. If you can't figure that out, then we're going to have a bigger problem. Because if I keep hearing complaints from teachers and students about the smell, and trust me, I've been hearing a lot, then we'll have no choice but to make showers mandatory. A ripple of groans echoes through the gym. The idea of mandatory showers isn't sitting well with a lot of students. Coach Wilson, raising her voice. Don't groan at me. You think I want to babysit you about this? You're supposed to be young adults. But if you can't handle basic self-care, I'll have no problem stepping in. You want to keep your dignity. You want to avoid having to line up for inspection like you're in basic training? Then start taking responsibility. That means hitting the showers every single time you get drenched from one of our workouts. She pauses, letting the weight of her words sink in. Coach Wilson. And just to be clear, these workouts aren't going anywhere. You'll be sweating through those uniforms every day, so you'd better get used to it. That means making those showers a part of your routine, no questions asked. I don't want to hear excuses, and I certainly don't want to smell the consequences. There's an awkward silence with only the quiet buzzing of the lights above and the occasional shuffle of feet. Coach Wilson looks at them all, waiting to see if anyone has the nerve to argue back. No one does. Coach Wilson. Good. Now, let's get back to work. And remember, if you're not using those showers, don't be surprised when I'm waiting at the door with a clipboard marking down names. You've been warned. Dismissed. The students start filing out of the gym, some still grumbling under their breath, others just grateful the lecture's over. But there's a shared understanding among them. The days of skipping showers might be over if they don't clean up their act, literally. The scene takes place in a hallway near the locker room after Coach Wilson's assembly. Claire, Allison, Jeannie, and Sloane huddle together, still catching their breath after a punishing workout. Their bodies, sore and sticky from the sweat of the 2-mile run, are crammed into the tight, unflattering gym uniforms that cling to every curve and bulge. The girls exchange worried glances, knowing that Coach Wilson's warning about mandatory showers wasn't just a suggestion. It was basically an order. Claire, fidgeting with the hem of her tank top. First the gym uniforms that make us look like overstuffed sausages. And now, this? I mean, we've got to shower together in one big open room? Seriously? Jeannie, sighing. Yeah, like the uniforms weren't already bad enough. At least when Coach Wilson went off on us about those run times, I could cover up a bit with my towel. But now we're supposed to just be out there with everyone else? No walls, no stalls, nothing? Allison, nervously tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. It's like she's slowly stripping away every last bit of dignity. First, the uniforms, then that brutal lecture while we were practically naked, and now this shower thing. She's really leaving us with no choice. Sloane, trying to stay positive. I get it, though. I mean, the smell has been getting out of control. It's kind of embarrassing to sit in class after gym, knowing everyone around you can probably smell you coming from a mile away. Claire, reluctantly nodding. Yeah, I know. I mean, even I can smell us after that run. But still, the thought of just standing there, totally exposed, with everyone around, it's so awkward. Jeannie nodded, crossing her arms. I bet everyone's freaking out just like us. No one's comfortable with this, maybe. If we all go in together, it won't be as bad. Like ripping off a Band-Aid, you know? Allison, perking up a bit. Kind of like jumping into an ice-cold pool you hesitate, but once you're in, it's over and done with. We could all just stick together, share one of the poles. Safety in numbers, right? Sloane, nodding in agreement. Exactly. If we all do it at once, it'll be easier. And who knows, maybe the other girls are just as nervous as we are. We could all be awkward together. Claire, smiling slightly. You know what? You're right, it's going to be awkward no matter what, but at least we'll have each other. If we make it a pact and do it together, we'll get through it. And honestly, maybe it'll be nice to finally feel fresh and clean after class, instead of marinating in our sweat for the rest of the day. Jeannie, half joking. Who knows, we might even make some new friends. It's like forced bonding, right? Allison, with a small laugh. Yeah, forced sweaty bonding. The girls share a brief nervous laugh, but there's a newfound determination in their eyes. They've decided if they have to face this, they'll do it together, as a team. Later that day, they step into the locker room after another exhausting workout. The massive communal shower room stands before them, with multiple shower heads coming out of central poles, water cascading down in streams. The space is filled with steam and chatter as girls reluctantly begin to shower. With a deep breath, the four girls take the plunge, heading to one of the poles together. As they nervously share one of the poles, they quickly realize they're not alone. Several other girls at neighboring poles are just as jittery and embarrassed. Firstner, glancing at the girls at the other heads. Hey, looks like we're not the only ones figuring this out together. Girl at the next pole, with a grin. Yeah, I figured if we're all in this mess, we might as well make it less awkward. Strength in numbers, right? Claire, smiling despite herself. Totally, let's get this over with. As they start to lather up, the initial discomfort begins to fade. The nervous small talk turns into jokes and laughter, and before long, the girls are bonding over the shared experience. Allison was surprised. You know, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, it's still awkward, but at least we're all in it together. Jeannie saw her feeling the water rinse away the sweat and grime. And wow, does this feel good? No more stinking up my next class? Sloane, laughing. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to feeling clean for once. Claire, relaxed for the first time. Okay, maybe this whole shower thing isn't the end of the world. We've got this. As the water pours down and the girls rinse off, they realize that the shared experience has made them closer, not just to each other, but to some of the other girls who were in the same boat. As they towel off and get dressed, they feel a strange sense of accomplishment. Maybe this gym regimen is tough, but together they're tougher. The warm steam fills the massive locker room as dozens of students take the plunge into the dreaded communal shower. Claire, Allison, Jeannie, and Sloane huddle together, sticking close to one of the central shower poles, sharing a bit of nervous laughter as they tentatively begin to soap up. The initial awkwardness still lingers in the air. but they're determined to push through the discomfort and get it over with. Water cascades down as the girls chat quietly, their nerves slowly easing. Claire, focused on rinsing her upper body, takes a deep breath and reaches down to soap her legs. As she does, she doesn't notice the girl behind her also bent down, doing the same. Suddenly, they both feel an unexpected and embarrassingly intimate bump as their backsides briefly press together. Claire, startled, quickly straightening up. "Oh, oops, excuse me?" Other girl, just as embarrassed, also straightening up quickly. "Sorry, I didn't see you there." Both girls share a nervous, awkward laugh, faces red from more than just the steam. The tension of the situation is thick, but the other girl quickly decides to lighten the mood with a little humor. Other girl, grinning. "We really have to stop meeting like this." Claire, caught off guard by the joke, lets out a surprised chuckle. Within seconds, the tension melts away as they both break into genuine laughter, their shared embarrassment now transformed into a moment of connection. Claire, still laughing, "Yeah, I don't know if this is the best place for that kind of introduction." Other girl, wiping a tear from her eye. "Tell me about it, but hey, at least we're all figuring this craziness out together." The light-hearted exchange not only relieves their mutual discomfort, but also ripples out to the girls around them, who start laughing too. The shared laughter spreads, and suddenly, the overwhelming awkwardness of the group shower feels less intimidating. Sloane, nudging Claire with a smirk. "Looks like you're making friends in the most unconventional way possible." Claire, grinning back. "Hey, I'll take it. Anything to make this a little less weird." The other girl smiles warmly, giving Claire a friendly nod before turning back to finish rinsing off. The ice has officially been broken. For the first time, the girls start to feel like maybe this whole situation isn't as unbearable as they feared. The shared vulnerability has turned into an opportunity to bond over a bizarre but strangely unifying experience. Allison, I start relaxing a bit more. You know, maybe this isn't the worst thing ever. We're all in the same boat, after all. Jeannie, playfully, "Yeah, just next time, watch where you're bending." More laughter ensues as the girls finish up their showers, the once looming dread now replaced with a surprising sense of camaraderie. As they towel off and get dressed, they leave the locker room with lighter hearts, ready to face the next challenge together. Maybe this year is going to be tough, but at least they'll have each other, and maybe a few new friends to get through it.